Our next speaker is Jason Fichtner, who will be speaking about retirement behavior and the global financial crisis.
Good morning, everyone. We're looking at sort of a literature review and seeing what's happened with Social Security claiming. And as an introduction, we sort of noticed that declines in assets as well as high unemployment changed the retirement plans of many Americans. This sort of seems intuitive. Shocks to employment and wealth have likely influenced retirement behavior. All the papers this morning have shown that. This paper provides a survey of the current literature on the influence of unemployment and wealth shocks on retirement. We used Social Security Administration administrative records on benefit applications to provide a preliminary analysis of changes in claiming patterns resulting from the recent economic downturn. And given the effects of the financial crisis and the increase of early claiming, what that might have on retirement well-being, we discussed how the Social Security Administration is helping Americans prepare for retirement through research, education, and decision support tools. And last, we, of course, look at areas for further research. The financial crisis, of course, began in 2008, resulted in great and unanticipated loss of wealth for millions of people. And as Michael Hurd and Suzanne Roweeder have shown out in their research, health and retirement survey data has shown about 20% of households reported being affected a lot by the financial crisis, 46% responded affected a little, and only 26% reported having not been affected mostly at all. The stock market, as measured broadly by the S&P 500 index, fell 56.7% from its peak on October 10, 2007 to the bottom of March 9, 2009. This roughly corresponds with the NBR dating for the recession. Survey using cognitive economic study, the CogEcon suggests financial wealth declined by 15% for the median household as a result of the 2008 financial crisis. So again, these were largely unanticipated. For those who were looking at following the rules, diversified portfolio of assets, S&P 500 or something else, they lost half of their wealth. So what do we know about the effects of wealth shocks and employment on retirement behavior? We've kind of gone through a lot of this in some of the earlier papers, but a financial shock, such as a deep drop in the value of stock prices, investment portfolios, and housing assets, might cause a delay in retirement plans, as a sudden loss in wealth causes people to remain in the workforce longer than planned to rebuild retirement savings. The loss of a job can also affect retirement behavior. As Bosworth and Bertlish show, at ages past 60, and especially past 65, the reduced unemployment levels caused by a weak job market very quickly translate into reduced labor force participation rates. An employment shock, such as a sudden loss of a job in a tight labor market with high unemployment, might hasten the decision on both when to retire and when to begin receiving Social Security retirement benefits. And I would note those are not necessarily the same thing. We sort of correlate the idea that when people leave the workforce, they're going to necessarily take retirement benefits and Social Security. That's not always the case. Folks can leave the workforce and delay claiming. They can claim and not leave the workforce, but we sort of correlate them together, but it's not necessarily the case that that's one and the same. So what do we know about the effects continued? Using HRS data for 2008 and 9, again, Michael Hurd and Suzanne. If you have questions about the literature, I would just say ask Michael, because most of my research is following on him. They show that more people are planning on working longer and retiring later as a result of the financial crisis. Yet the net effect on financial crisis and recession on retirement behavior is ambiguous. While some workers delay retirement, others exit the workforce earlier due to the job loss. Again, though the decision to start receiving Social Security benefits is often seen as being contemporaneous with retirement, electing to receive benefits is not necessarily a predictor of retirement or leaving the workforce. So we've done some preliminary work looking at the trends, again, based on Social Security data, and the research does suggest there's a relatively stable percentage of workers who choose to begin receiving Social Security retirement benefits as soon as they become available, which is age 62. That is the data, it's basically bimodal. There's a big spike in those who claim at 62, and another big spike when you hit the full retirement age, which was 65 and now 66. And annual data published by the administration show that percentage of those claiming retirement benefits at age 62 is relatively constant since the last major reforms in 1983, as you can see in this chart here. So this breaks it out by men and women, and this is the OESI DI benefits awarded as a percent of age 62 from 1985 to 2009. And you see they were relatively stable. There is some decline in the later 2000s, and then some peak back up because of the recession. Now, it's important to note this is calendar year data. We also then want to look at cohorts. So the data from SSA do not accurately reflect trends in claiming behavior by age. The data published are by claiming year, not by birth year, or what we call cohorts. So a more accurate way of addressing and assessing claiming behavior of 62-year-olds is to look at the percentage of each birth cohort that claims at age 62. But for example, the percent of people born in 1946 that claimed benefits at age 62 and first becoming eligible would be 2008. Using cohort data, comparisons can be made across birth years to see if those born in 1920s had different claiming behaviors than those born in 1930s and the early 1940s. And in order to gain further insight, the analysis of Social Security Administration's administrative records on benefit applications and awards is required. This is where we have the administrative records. And we also use the continuous work history sample. We calculate claiming behavior at age 62 for the cohorts born between 1913 and 1947. So note this means that those born in 1913 first become eligible for reduced Social Security benefits at age 62 in 1975, while those born in 1947 become eligible in 2009. And we show this in charts 2 and 3. And in chart 2, this is the percent of fully insured workers who claim at age 62 for cohorts born between 1913 and 1947. What you notice is there actually is a trend which goes towards later claiming, starting around 1990, for both males and females, but then starts to pick back up again around 2007 at the start of the financial crisis. So that's by gender. As we look by race, sort of similar patterns, but for whites, the trend is much more marked. You see a giant trend towards later claiming, again, starting around 1990, 1991, 92, and 3, and then it starts to level out and pick back up again because of the recession. Now, again, this is preliminary data. We still need more. This is what we're showing so far. So we also want to look at what happens when we look at state-level unemployment. So one of the ideas, of course, is that because unemployment rate is high, people may be losing their jobs and then elect to claim Social Security benefits early. This is done two ways. One is done, chart 4 looks at the percent claiming based on the population age 62. Chart 5 is based on a percentage of the fully insured workers who are age 62. Now the scatter plot's kind of all over the place, but we do see that there is a correlation, and actually it is statistically significant at the 9% level. And even though there was a national unemployment of 9.2%, the state level variation was as low as 4% to a high of 13% unemployment. And again, it's highly correlated, but we're going to do some more work on the regression to see if we can tease this out a little bit. So again, this is where we get to the idea of more data analysis is needed. And our summer project with Don, myself, and Barbara Smith running the data is to do more of this, try to break it out by wealth. For primary beneficiaries only, we want to look at the claiming age at 62, probably use the primary insurance amount as a proxy for economic status. Barbara Smith actually emailed me last night. She's done a first run of this and found some interesting data. She looked at the PIA and basically said, what's today's PIA, current year PIA amount? And took the median value and took those above the median and those below the median. For both groups, you do see a trend from 2001 away from early claiming. But the data changes when you hit the financial crisis. And what was interesting is that for those below the median, the trend towards less claiming at age 62 goes through 2008, but then there's an uptick in those claiming at 62 in 2009. For higher incomes, what's more interesting is the same trend happens, but only through 2007. And for those who have a PIA amount above the median value, they start seeing a reversal in 2008. And then they start another reversal in 2009. So what it kind of says is, if the financial crisis that happened was one that hit banks and financial institutions first, or wealthier or higher or better off individuals first, we start seeing that in more claiming age 62 in 2008. And as the crisis spread to lower income groups in 2009, that group then starts claiming benefits earlier. So it's sort of showing the same pattern we would expect to see if the financial crisis really was a financial one first, then a Great Recession that followed a year after. We're going to continue looking at the CWH sample and looking at any variables we can use as a proxy for wealth to further this analysis. Of OASDI benefits award age 62, we want to figure out what was the distribution of awards, retired worker, spousal, and disability, and see if we can find some analysis and correlation there. We, of course, want to strengthen the regression analysis. It's still kind of weak. The scatter plot we showed you is all over the board. We can tease that out. And again, as we sort of noted, and everyone sort of noted in their papers this morning, since the data to study retirement and savings effects due to the financial crisis of 2008 are just beginning to become available, continued additional research is necessary to fully understand this story, how retirement behavior has changed as a result of the shocks to wealth and employment of the past few years. I'm very curious to see if some people who've actually took benefits early will start going back to work this year, next year, the year after. So we're going to follow this trend for the next several years to see how it actually plays out. So how does this lead to Social Security and financial literacy? Social Security, of course, is a major source of income and retirement security for those in retirement. 64% of beneficiaries rely on Social Security 50% or more of their income. 34% rely on it for 90% or more. There's always a concern with those who claim benefits early that they get a reduced amount that then lasts for the rest of their life. And as they get into their 80s or 90s, that amount may not be enough to give them a secure retirement. So as a preliminary analysis, again, the data supports the thesis that more people will elect to begin Social Security benefits early because of the financial shock. Recognizing the unique role that Social Security Administration plays in the financial security of millions of Americans, the agency undertook a special research initiative in 2009 to develop and refine print, web, and other products to better inform the public about retirement planning options and the importance of personal savings contributes to a dignified and financially secure retirement. Also influencing the agency's decision to do this and to move forward with the special initiative was research indicating a link between financial literacy and savings behavior, which found that the less financially literate are also the least likely to plan for retirement. So what did we do at the agency? Again, this is when I was there. I can't claim it now. We changed some of the Social Security statement layout. We changed the content and language. Looking at behavioral finance and behavioral economics, we changed the order of the estimated benefits by claiming age. Originally, the statement showed age 62 first, full retirement age second, and then age 70 third. And that was sending sort of implicit message that you should take benefits early at 62. So we changed the order to show full retirement age first, then showed age 70 second, and then showed the cliff you would get at age 62 if you took it early third, as a change sort of behavioral finance. We also created 2 new inserts, Thinking of Retiring and What Younger Workers Should Know About Social Security. The Thinking of Retirement was sent to those who are 55 and older. It was a double-sided one-page insert that went in the statement. The one for younger workers was sent to those 25 to 35 years of age about the importance of saving, compounding, reminding them what Social Security was. There was also a disability and survivor program and gave some good information. Because it was a one-page insert, it did not increase the mailing costs. So it was relatively cheap to send information out. The statement was going to 150 million Americans. So we also did a one-pager on when to start receiving retirement benefits, which was sent to all the field offices. There are 1,300 field offices around the country. And SSA, as we heard earlier, also supports extramural research on retirement, including a significant amount, a number of interdisciplinary projects on financial literacy, decision-making, and behavior change. Now, the goals of the research, why is research important for Social Security? The goals of the research in this area were to learn the most effective ways to help foster retirement and other saving strategies at all stages of the life cycle, help low and moderate income populations successfully plan and save for retirement and other life events, and improve understanding of Social Security's programs. Ideally, these findings would inform Social Security's efforts on the statement, the web, program design, etc., as well as spill over to other relevant areas of employer-sponsored retirement programs. So we thought there was a need to do this, a very important need. What are some wrap-up points? There'll be more questions and we'll have some discussion, but the financial crisis, of course, resulted in great and unanticipated job losses and wealth for millions of Americans. More Americans now are electing to receive retirement benefits at age 62. This is reversing a trend before the recession towards later filing ages. Social Security undertook a special initiative to encourage savings and promote financial literacy. And though initial research and products resulting from this initiative were encouraging, unfortunately, budget constraints across the federal government have resulted in SSA reducing support for many of its important financial literacy education initiatives, including curtailing mailing the Social Security statement and reducing support for financial literacy research. And of course, many of us are very disappointed and sad with that outcome. For near retirees who delayed retirement and continued their labor force participation, there might be some good news. As Olivia has shown, her research says that savings shortfalls can be substantially reduced by continuing to work an additional 2 or 4 years. And while some near retirees may not like the idea of having to work 2 or 4 more years, the good news is that just by continuing to work, you can sort of rebuild your savings. I think that's an important message you need to get across. So, thank you.